Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here tonight reading with Talene. I'm so grateful to be back at Sewanee. A huge thanks to Leah, Gwen, and Adam, and the hardworking staff for the community you cultivate, and to all of you for making this place so magical. It's been really fun teaming up with Maurice. The writers in our workshop are amazing. Woo! So I will be reading from Forbidden City, which just came out in May. I spent 14 years on the book, about a third of my life. So if any of you have projects you just can't quit, keep the faith. It was inspired by a teasing glimpse of documentary footage, a photo of the jowly Chairman Mao surrounded by giggling teenage girls dressed in plaid. They look like Bobby Soxers. It turned out that the chairman was a fan of ballroom dancing and young women who partnered with him on the dance floor and in the bedroom. Forbidden City. The party official arrived in early summer, the rumble of his Jeep echoing on the rutted road. Vehicles didn't often travel through our narrow valley, still as remote as in the days when news of an emperor's passing arrived years afterward. I leaned on my hoe, my shoulders aching. Beside me, my two sisters had also stopped working, listening until the sound drew so close we ran in from the fields, joining the shouts and cries of excitement. We halted at the sight of the Jeep parked in the plaza, its red flags rippling with importance on the hood. The official spoke with the headman, who pointed at a neighbor, at me, at each girl in the cultural work troupe, and gestured to a spot by the acacia tree. "Line up, quickly now. Don't keep Secretary's son waiting," the headman barked. A dozen of us performed patriotic songs and skits on festival days. With few entertainments in the village, we always drew an audience, but we hardly seemed worthy of a party official. Secretary's son had the look of a serpent with high cheekbones and hooded eyes. He carried himself with a disciplined air, all tucks and polish. His thick black hair glinted gold, then red-brown in the sunlight. My father, sitting beneath the acacia, tipped the brim of his hat at me, and I hitched up my sagging pants, hand-me-downs from my sisters that were short and threadbare. Secretary's son walked along the line, his steps slow and precise, pausing before each girl, the bony one, the short ones, the village beauty renowned for her deep dimples and petal soft skin. At last, he stopped at me. All of us had volunteered for the dance troupe to get out of field work, but we hadn't practiced in months. 10,000 hours of rehearsals wouldn't have improved our performance. Only my neighbor, who accompanied us on his bamboo flute, possessed any talent. With a nod at us, he played an old tune, one that my grandparents had hummed as children about the long days of summer, of sunshine and dreams. The words had been changed and put into the service of the people. As we sang about victory and freedom, we acted out each verse. We raised our arms above our head to imitate the sun rising from the east where the dawn, where the revolution began. I stretched as high as I could, a taut line from my toes to the tips of my fingers, and set my jaw, trying to look fierce. When I glimpsed the girl beside me, though, I almost laughed out loud, her face squinched up as though she were suppressing a gigantic sneeze. Then I faltered, wondering if I might look like her. Afterward, we lined up again. Taking my place at the end, I hunched over, panting, sweat dripping down my back. Secretary's son examined each candidate for a second time. Everyone in my village shared the same surname, Song. Our neighbors knew my parents, had known my grandparents. They recognized the inherited shape of my ears, my temper, and my fate, and had me determined while I was still in the womb. It was 1965, a time ripe with prospect, even if in my village, buckets of night soil still turned rank and the party's painted slogans cracked in the heat. My two sisters, too old to volunteer to perform for the troupe, pushed to the front of the crowd. As the official looked over us again, I prayed to the chairman, asking him to grant me the opportunity to serve. The People's Republic had been born the same year as me, and we were both still testing our limits, still ricocheting between extremes as we figured out who we would grow up to be. Female heroes were few but vivid in the tales we learned at school. A teenage spy beheaded after she rallied villagers against enemy soldiers. A factory worker burned to death after she stopped a huge fire. I wanted the official to pick me for this duty and to separate me from the rest of the girls in the village, from everyone here. I wanted to live like a hero. If the official didn't select me, in a year I might get married, in time I would have a baby, and then another and another. I had to act now. It might be my only chance. Catching Headman Song's eyes, I floated my hands in a gesture only he would understand. I swiveled my head over the crowd as if to say, I will tell everyone. When his mouth twitched, I knew he understood. Headmen elsewhere in Hubei province had been beaten for lesser offenses, for people hungered to humble the powerful, to listen to their confessions, strip their authority, force them to clean the latrines and catch flies in a jar. Even if only some believed the secret I held, the headman's reputation would suffer, for such was the strength of accusation in those years. The cicadas rose in pitch, a teeming, throbbing sound. Headman Song took the pipe from his mouth, turned to the official, and they spoke with their heads bowed. When Secretary Sun returned and stopped in front of me, resting his hand on my shoulder, I didn't shy away. No one else in the village knew what I'd seen. 2 years ago, a traveling musician had sought shelter here. Although he wore the same rough clothes as the rest of us, he had a high, haunting voice, and in a performance fit for the chairman, he sang of heroes, of a mischievous monkey king who rebelled against the heavens, while he plucked at his pipa, the melody spooling from his fingers. Every family volunteered to house the musician that night, for we'd never had such a remarkable visitor. Headman Song prevailed, and he moved his wife and 4 children to his brother's home to provide quiet for his guest. In the middle of the night, I slipped out and crept to the headman's in the hope of another song. Instead, I heard grunts, and through a crack in the front door, I saw their shadows on the wall come together and apart, flickering in the firelight. I moved away, but then peeked back in. The musician knelt on all fours, the headman behind him. As the headman let out a low moan, the rocking mesmerized me until both men had shuddered and gone still. I bumped against a stack of baskets. Though I caught them in time to keep the baskets from toppling over, the headman burst through the door. His nipples, large and flat, were startling, an unblinking pair of eyes. Scowling, he gripped my wrists, and his body was heavy with a thick, soapy smell. I didn't scream, and after a long moment, he released me. He must have known I would keep his secret. Until today, when I floated my hands as the traveling musician once did over his strings, over the headman. That night, Ba gave me the biggest portion of porridge, the one reserved for him. My sisters watched, their faces pinched with hunger, with jealousy, as he plucked mushrooms drizzled with soy sauce from his own bowl and dropped them into my porridge. I inhaled the scent. Our village was famed for its soy sauce, its dark, fermented flavors, redeeming our bland, insubstantial meals. We fermented the sauce in giant urns, pungent proof that the simplest ingredients can be transformed with time. I pushed the mushrooms to the side of the bowl, saving them for last. Aramei Shang, my father said, fragrant plum blossom. I looked up. He almost never called me by my name. In our family, like all the families in our village, we referred to one another by our titles, by our roles, Ma and Ba, first, second, and third daughters. As the stove flickered low, Ba went outside, where he fell into a fit of coughing. He might have been trying to hide it from us. My sisters whispered together. Born less than a year apart, they were always together, crows perched on a roof. First daughter probably hoped the official would pass over me. We 3 shared part of our names, Mei, to show how we lived through the same generation, Mei Tian, Mei Ling, and Mei Xiang, all of us plum blossoms that opened in late winter, pink against the snow, all that was pure, strong, and reckless. Unlike me, my sisters were both dainty with delicate features, brushstroke brows, and long-lashed eyes like my mother's. As a baby, I might have been a doll to them, new and precious in a home with no toys and no time to play, but for as long as I could remember, they'd treated me as another task in a long day, to carry, to feed, to bathe, to silence. They stole the words I meant to say for myself, for that was the curse of the youngest child. Before I could walk, they ran. Before I could speak, they were singing. They were the first children to survive, arriving after a stillborn son and a toddler fallen to fever. My mother loved my sisters with an intensity forged from loss, but I felt like another failed attempt at a son. Ba had wanted an heir so much that for a time I'd been one for him. I carried loads twice my size and wove traps to catch fish in the river. In the evenings, I joined him and the other men in the plaza, listening to their riddles, rowdy and rousing. Then my body began to curve and swell, and I was no longer welcome. I finished the mushrooms and set my chopsticks down on my bowl. The village disdained my family because of our misfortunes, and my family disdained me, yet the girl they called nothing at all, had been summoned by the party. First daughter splashed me with her cup of hot water. "Clumsy," she said. "You bumped the table." She was the clever sister, the one whom I couldn't help but admire for her shrewd insults and even shrewder punishments. "What are your new duties?" she asked. "Not yours," I said. I was leaving and she was staying. I would see more in a day away than she would her entire life. "Ma?" I asked. "They'll tell you when you're supposed to know," Ma said. "The chairman protects. The chairman provides." His portrait hung above us, his face stern, though with a hint of a smile. "Maybe you're not old enough to hear such things," first daughter said. "Old enough to be chosen," I said, "but not old. Not like you," I didn't have to say. "How can women best serve the party?" first daughter asked. "The same way they always have." "Women hold up half the sky," I said. "By lying down," she said. At her words, I clenched between my legs. She was trying to trick me. "You're wrong." I hated the quaver in my voice. Ma stared into her empty bowl, her lips pinched white. Second daughter put her hand on mine, but didn't disagree. When Ba came inside to find my sister sniggering, he raised his hand as if to strike me. We all returned to slurping our porridge. Soon after, the knock on the door rattled the gourds on the roof. Headman Song entered, ducking beneath a string of red chilies. He set down a polished wooden box, asked for a bowl of water, into which he plunged his hands and told me to do the same. We dried our hands on a clean rag, and he opened the lid to reveal a palm-sized book, a copy of the chairman's writings, and a gift from the party official to the village. The headman explained that I would study the chairman's teachings to prepare for my duties in the capital. "Am I joining a cultural work troupe?" I asked. The headman frowned. "You'll do as you're told. You leave in 3 days. 3 days. 3 days. Knowing when I'd leave filled me with lightness again, made the prospect real, even if I didn't have the details. It seemed the party would only tell me what I needed to know, and when I needed to know, and nothing more. The headman handed the book to me. I was the only one in my family who could read, and first daughter hated me for it. My sisters were born too soon, too old for school after the communist victory. Ma lit an oil lamp, setting it beside me, and Headman Song placed the book into my hands. It fit into my palm, small enough to slip into my pocket, under my pillow, just the right size, just the right weight. The cover was red, shiny, flexible, the material like nothing I'd ever held, embedded with a portrait of the chairman, no bigger than a walnut. Here he looked to be my father's age, plump where Ba was gaunt, with full rosy cheeks and parted lips. I ran my thumb along a golden beam radiating from his head, not daring to touch his face. I knew as soon as the headman left, my sister would taunt me again. I flipped to a chapter entitled Women and looked for familiar words. "With the rise of the peasant," I said. My voice sounded strange, whining as a mosquito, but when I glanced at my family and the headman, they seemed captivated. "The women in many places have begun to organize," I said louder. The opportunity has come for them to lift their heads, and the authority of the husband is getting shakier every day. First daughter laughed, bold and bright, the kind of reaction I could have kindled in her before now. "That's enough," my father said. Until this day, I would have obeyed him, but from now on, I had to be brave and outspoken, a model revolutionary. I continued reading. It was as if the chairman stood behind me, his hand on my back, urging me on his behalf, and I wanted to hold on to this moment forever. Although I didn't know the next few characters or most of the next page, I didn't want to lose my audience. So I invented what followed. Women must take their rightful place among men. I paused, but no one seemed to notice the difference between the chairman's words and mine. First daughter had been so gleeful, so sure of what awaited me in the capital. "Feudalism lulls us like an older sister." First daughter aghast, and second daughter anxiously rubbed her neck. From the time we were small, we'd played games like Beat the Landlord, tackling the person clutching the ball of rags until he gave it up. We hated feudalism like we hated the dirty and scrawny whose fate we feared could be our own. Though we didn't know the history behind feudalism, it meant someone backward, stunted, and easily led. I went on. Even though feudalism asks for our loyalty, an older sister is incapable of revolution. The youngest child would lead us. Bound feet lead to bound minds, while those with broad feet have broad minds. First daughter scowled and yearning shadowed second daughter's face. I could get away with more, much more. But I held myself back and found another passage to read. At bedtime, I slipped the book under the blankets with me. I slept on the edge farthest from the stove, the coldest part of the bed under the window. Sniffing the sour tang of glue, I stroked the pages across my cheek, hoping the chairman's words would pass into me like sunshine warming a rock, a heat that would carry me through the deepest chill. The people in the capital would be as beguiling and talented as the traveling musician, and the buildings would be endless and grand, filled with wonders I couldn't even imagine. And somewhere in the capital, behind the walls of the lake palaces, the chairman dwelled. He had united the peasants, 10 villages, 100, 1,000, 10,000 in the communist revolution. With hoes and pitchforks, peasants beat back guns. With pipes and bricks, factory workers fought off bombs. Bent in unison, harvesting and threshing, we were mightier than any machine. I ached to see him as he flicked his pen through the little red book, marking up the pages and filling in my future. So May makes her way to the capital and joins the dance troupe. And the next scene takes place the first night she meets the chairman. After dinner, we marched in double rows toward the dance pavilion, a gray brick building with thick red posts and massive curved eaves, whose size made me feel as if I were about to kowtow before the emperor. We passed through the red wooden door, studded with brass circles, and inside, dazzling white lights were strung from the high rafters. The wooden floors were springy, and each of my steps vibrated back into the balls of my feet. A dozen homes from my village would have taken up less than half the space. I counted the number of guests, but I lost track, mostly men and a handful of women, maybe 100 in all, their conversation a hum. Teacher Fan had directed me to the rear, where I was supposed to observe. I clasped my hands in front of me, then behind me, not sure where to put them or how to stand. I hunched my shoulders. As the record player started up, the other girls invited the attentions of the men they wanted with a tilt of their heads or a toss of their hair. When someone tried to dodge a cotter, she fiddled with her sleeve or fell into conversation with another girl, pretending not to see him. Amid the noise, the news spread among the recruits, who shouted behind cupped palms, "The chairman's here." The chairman? Looking for him, I wedged myself into the gaps, elbowing past the cotter and into the suffocating heat. Then I spotted the gleam of his bald head in the crowd. If I'd been in a quiet room, I might have hesitated, but the buzz around me drove me on, all relentless forward motion. The full cheeks, the fleshy ears, the mole at the center of his chin, the chairman. I raised my hand. Pick me. He extended his arm as if to ask me to come forward, but when I didn't move, he motioned for others to make way for me. Come. I stepped towards him. He gripped my wrist with his leathery hand and pulled me into his arms. The shock of it felt like plunging into ice. I had seen his giant portrait hours earlier, and now he stood before me. He seemed unreal, denser than flesh, filling the space definitively. I was a shadow beside him. The frantic song ended, and another began, the trumpets racing, following, then leading, leaping from high to low, while drums pounded. Inside my head, it filled my throat and echoed in the hollow space behind my nose. What do you think of the Capitol? The chairman asked. He had to shout above the music. It's big, I said stupidly. He spun me under his arm, and the room whirled around us. You never stop feeling that way, he said. Reeling me towards him, we ended up side by side, rocking back and forth. The chairman propelled me with enough force that my body understood where to go. I clasped tighter. The longer I kept the chairman with me, the longer no one else would have him. In unison, every couple rock-stepped, then flew into different directions before they returned to the beginning together. The chairman was a terrible dancer. Worse than me. This is actually true. Every few beats, our pelvises knocked together. When he stepped on my foot, crushing my toes, I forced my grimace into a smile. Scrambling to mirror his missteps, I held on when his moves jerked us apart. I could barely keep up, and after 4 songs, we were both winded. Let's take a rest, he said. His damp hand at my waist guided me to a doorway at the edge of the pavilion opposite the main entrance. I drew back in disbelief as much as in fear. How could I be walking beside the man who all but ruled over the sun and the stars? I was barely aware of the cotter who nodded him as he passed, the girls who smiled at him. With each step, my legs became heavier with the weight of what was to come. He pushed open the door to reveal a room lit by several lamps and a large bed that filled most of the space. In my village, we'd marveled at the tales of landlords who had homes of many rooms, for cooking, for sleeping, for sitting, for uses I couldn't imagine. I knew this room's use at once. Thank you. And now, Talene Monahon.
Hi, everyone. What a treat to be here. Thank you so much, Vanessa. That was so beautiful. Thanks to Leah and to Gwen and to Adam for this insane opportunity. Thank you to David and to our workshop for making this place so special. Thanks to these guys, Omalolu Fiki, Liliana Padilla, and Sarah Einspanier, who very generously lent their talents to this reading. Do you guys want to do a quick mic check? Let's see if the mics are working.
Oh, yeah. Hello, hello. Hello.
Microphone.
Hello.
Okay.
Can you, yeah, yes,
I think it works.
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
If
good.
we get loud, is it like too loud? No? Okay.
Yay. Cool. So we're going to read a little excerpt of a new play that I've been working on, which is sort of a prequel to Arthur Miller's The Crucible. And but the only characters in it are the 4 girls who were also 4 people in real life. They were real people, and they were actually really young. So the play is maybe called Pop It, Pop It, Pop It. And yeah, yay. Salem, Massachusetts, 1691.
Beth Paris, 9.5.
Abigail Williams, I'm 11.
Mercy Lewis, 14.
Nighttime. Wood noises in the darkness, scurrying, little animal screeches, branches rustling, an owl hoot. The noises go on for a little while, then quiet. Betty and Abigail in bed.
Abby,
No.
Abby, hey, hi. Are you up?
No, I'm asleep.
You are?
Snore, snore.
What?
What? Is the fire out? Oh, it's dead cold. Betty, what?
I wanted to tell you I had a dream that I could fly. I was flying through the woods at night like an owl. I wanted to tell you before I forgot.
Like an owl?
I kept on bumping into trees.
So you weren't very good at flying.
I got the hang of it after a bit. I was good by the end.
Which woods? The woods?
Yes, the woods.
Really? You went in there? You were inside the woods?
I think so. It was dark, so hard to tell, but
Something like a noise.
Shh. Wait, hold on. I thought I heard something. Someone else up, maybe?
no one else is up.
Okay. Like, Betty, owls aren't the only ones. There are other ones who fly.
I know.
You should keep that a secret, that dream.
I'm not telling anyone, so.
You just told me. Wow.
No.
Wow, you're pretty bad at secrets.
Come on, hey, you don't count. Cousins don't count, right?
You're lucky I'm the best secret keeper in this town, that's all I'm saying.
I wasn't on a pole or a stick or anything or a broom.
You're screaming, someone's gonna wake. How did you do it then?
I just used my arms out and in like I was a man swimming in the ocean. That's how I did it, with my arms.
Did you feel like wicked in the dream?
I felt amazing.
Daytime in the yard.
So I'm the king, and
That doesn't make any sense.
Betty, will you just let me explain. Here are the rules.
I don't want to be the no.
You're the
no.
tragic peasant.
Tragic peasant. I don't want to be the peasant.
It's the rules. I'm the king, and you're the tragic
Okay,
peasant.
fine, Abby, fine.
So then we're
But
gonna
I'm beautiful, as well as tragic and poor. And there is a new rule, which is the king has to remark
Has
on that.
to? What? On
Yeah,
your beauty?
yeah, he has to point something out about it at some point. Just at some point.
Well, but you still have a hunchback, though,
a
because of the
teeny
rules.
little hunch.
A hunch is a hunch.
Okay, whatever. Let's just.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Ready? 3, 2.
Morning. Betty and Abigail churn butter side by side.
Bum, 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 bum.
Bam, 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 bam. I killed this milk with my stick. Bam, bam.
How
The
close
milk
are
is
you?
dead. Bam, almost there. Bam, bam.
Lucky, mine is taking forever.
So, Mercy Lewis told me that Ann Putnam Jr. told her that Giles Corey killed his servant.
What? Who was
I
killed?
don't remember his name. Apparently, he didn't go to church. He was Irish, I think.
Wait, was he the one I saw that one time drinking on the street? I saw this man once drinking in the street, and he had his trousers were.
No, you never saw him because this was 15 years ago. That was someone else.
Oh.
Mercy didn't know his name. All she knew was that he died. Mercy said Ann Jr. said Giles made him dead.
You mean like murder?
I'm not sure if it was murder. She said the servant stole some apples. He was a thief.
How many apples did he steal?
Probably a lot, because Giles was sore mad. He took his stick and went at him. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, I guess the servant broke many bones, and his face was smushed, and then he died.
Giles is so old. I'm trying to imagine him killing someone.
I think this was years ago, remember? He's strong, even though he's old anyway. But I don't think it's murder, though. Exactly, though. Like, I don't think something like murder, but not the same. Oh, Lord, I love apples. Done. I'm gonna taste it.
What if someone's watching?
Your dad is at the parish, the others are in town, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Come on, quickly.
Butter is my favorite food! I want to marry butter!
Me too, I wanna marry butter so bad.
A strange noise like a humming.
Is that someone? Dad?
It's not him.
Nighttime, in bed. Shuffling.
shuffling. I'm trying to sleep.
Sorry.
More shuffling.
Betty, jeez.
I can't get comfortable. Everything hurts.
Well, you shouldn't have said the word.
It was Mercy's fault for saying it when she came over.
She was wicked to say it. You knew she was being wicked, and then you went and immediately said it. When there were grown-ups around, like you have no self-control.
I couldn't help it. The word was burning into my mind, and I felt like I was gonna explode into fire if I didn't say it with my mouth.
Was it worth 20 lashes?
Abby, I couldn't help it. Seriously.
What are you doing?
I'm snuggling. It hurts less when I snuggle.
Okay. That's okay. Lord, it is so cold. Just don't drool on me like the last time you snuggled.
I won't.
A fart.
Abby!
It wasn't me. You were being so loud.
It smells like lentils! That was you, Abby!
No, it wasn't. It was a spirit. It's spirit fart.
Oh, spirit fart, party spirit!
Oh, fart again, fair spirit.
Daytime, the yard.
Bow down. Bow down to me.
Oh, goody king!
Yes, bow down to me, lowly peasant.
Oh, I am humble.
Ah, yes, regard my royal robe.
It's so big and red.
Yes, it is red, the reddest red in all the land. Now then, peasant, I see you have suffered. I see you have a large and pitiful hunch.
Oh, wait!
Peasants, tell me, where are you going?
Abraham!
No, we don't need Abraham in this.
No, yes, we do, because he can be the donkey I rode in on. He's pretty donkey-like for a goat. I'm gonna
No,
get
you
him.
don't need that. You don't need a donkey. Come back, Betty.
No, I want Abraham. He'll be a good donkey.
Last time we took Abraham out, we got 30 lashes between us. It's just us, okay, Betty?
Yeah.
Now speak, peasant. Tell me your tale of woe. Oh, beautiful one.
Call you me beautiful? But how fair, so fair, king? Like, upon which features
Whatever, okay, I
do
said it.
you-
Just tell me the tale. Come on.
Oh, king, how kind of you to notice my humble beauty, my luxurious hair and supple figure.
Oh, my lord, you are being so annoying. I'm literally gonna have you beheaded.
What? Oh, sweet king, do not behead me. Pity me, pity my pitiful head.
God, and to God, bring out the beheading axe.
A rustling.
There's someone's there. Someone's over behind the fence.
Hello? Is someone there?
What's up, kids?
Oh. Hey, Mercy.
Hey, Mercy. What are you?
I was on my way back to the Burrows' place when I heard a strange scream. I was pretty sore alarmed. I thought suddenly of the poor Goodwin sisters. Were y'all playing something?
No, we're not babies.
Yeah, we're not babies.
We were making candle stuffs is all. And then we wanted to light one, but then Betty almost burned herself, so she was screaming.
Oh.
Who are the Goodwin sisters?
Only famous victims of Satan. Strange y'all have never heard of them.
I have heard of them, actually, I think.
Yeah, this was in Boston a few years back, 88 I'm pretty sure. These four sisters woke up one day shackled with iron chains that grown-up eyes couldn't see and their arms sliced like apples up and down with little knives. It was really sad. Their little sweet anuses were swollen and reddish, and they found these toothy marks on their tits and toes. The poor kids would stand in the yard and scream, and everyone was like, what the fuck?
What happened? Did the sisters die?
It was a witch, of course. Who possessed them? A real live witch, a genuine fucker of Satan.
A real witch? Oh, Lord, a real witch?
Wait, how did they know it was a real witch? Did they see her fly?
No, obviously. She only flew when she was in her shadow spirit. Most of the time, she masqueraded in a town as a laundry woman, but when they looked into it, they found that she had a record of stealing babies and penises. Also, she had like 10 cats in her house, half of which were translucent. She would choke the poor children at night and feast on their bowels.
Did they die, though? Did the little kids die?
They caught her just in time and hung her from the gallows until her skirt was shit-stained and her neck was snapped good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, thank the Lord.
But the sisters were okay. They were okay after that.
I think 2 of them died of consumption the next winter, but yeah, basically they were all right otherwise. Glad you kids are good. I have to get back to the burrows. Time to scrub a tub.
Nice to see you, Mercy.
Yeah, see y'all at church.
Hey, Abby.
Nighttime bed.
Hey, Abby. Do you think my older sister Betty and older sister Susanna, the ones who came before, who died before I was born, and your father and your mother and my father's parents, the Saints Jane and Samuel, who came over from England, and also Kitty, who died when I was 6, but so sweet, the one I told you about with the black fur before you came to live here, do you think they are all awaiting us in the kingdom of heaven? Do you think they all know each other there? When I think of heaven, I think literally the sky, like when you see those pink clouds on certain days. But do you think there are woods in heaven? Or things that are like the woods? Abby?
The sound of muffled crying from a room below.
Do you hear her? She's up. Abby, are you awake?
Daytime, the yard, churning butter.
Tomorrow?
In the afternoon. I go over to their house to work every afternoon and then back here for supper. It's every afternoon except for Sabbath. Your dad said I was old enough to start.
I hate him! It should be me instead!
He would never, you're his baby.
I'm almost 10, isn't a baby! Double digits isn't a baby!
That's not what I meant. I'll make real wages anyway. I can buy us something. Like a boat. Like a little wooden boat.
How little?
Little, but big enough for the 2 of us. We can take it to the Green River.
Which river?
There's a green river a little ways into the woods.
You're fooling. You've never been in the woods.
Maybe I have been. Maybe I saw it one time. I will take you there when I have the boat.
What am I gonna do every afternoon? I'll be all alone.
You'll have Miss Tituba. She's here.
She works all day and she's old.
You'll have Abraham.
He doesn't like me so much lately.
Well, he is a goat.
It's not fair though. You're too young to be a servant.
I'm 12 in 3 weeks. And I'm almost as tall as Mercy, who's actually 14. I don't think working will be so hard. I'm great at churning butter. Plus, I will probably grow very strong, and in a few months, I bet I'll be able to carry you on my back like you're nothing, like you're like a little piece of grass. I'll be able to lift a cow in my arms.
No way. A grown-up cow?
I bet he can do that easy. I've never seen a back as wide as his before. Do you remember we sat behind them in church 2 Sabbaths past, and it seemed like his shoulders stretched across the entire pew. That was crazy. Do you remember, Betty?
Wait, who are you talking about? The husband?
Yes, the husband.
They churn butter. Early morning. Mercy drinks from a bottle of hard cider.
There is a wickedness everywhere. I actually can't believe how wicked this town has become.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But in what sense do you mean?
Are you kidding? Your dad explains it very clearly. He's a better reverend than Burroughs was. Don't tell anyone I said that, but it's actually just the truth. Your dad really gets the point across. I like the way he screams in his sermons. Ah!
Betty never listens to his sermons. She falls asleep
I
sometimes.
do not! She's lying!
I heard her snore once.
She's lying! I never snored!
There are liars everywhere now. People are dissembling, pretending to be what they aren't. People aren't authentic anymore. Do you know how many people in this town are kissing Satan and then lying about it? Sin is rampant. People are out here playing with poppets.
But puppets aren't really
No, poppets are super sinful.
Yeah, Betty, puppets are really bad now.
Oh.
Man, when we were kids, things were good. Do you remember? Everyone was pretty much good.
I remember.
But now Lucifer is here. Look around you. The crops are perishing. It's fucking cold outside.
Yes, so cold, yeah.
Freezing, the grass is ice. Half this town doesn't even go to church anymore.
You're exaggerating, Mercy. It's only like a few people that don't go.
No, it's like half the town. Half of the town is in bed with the devil. I'm so serious. Every night he is flying down onto their beds and crawling under their sheets and fingering them while they sleep.
What? Wait, what?
Seriously, you don't know about this?
No, I definitely think I knew. Yeah,
Maybe they're asleep when he starts. Maybe they think it's just a dream. But then they wake up and there he is, crushing them with his satanic weight and fingering them with his thorny claws. He pours wine down their throats and he fucks them in their little mouths. He bites their thighs and presses his red, slimy dick onto their faces.
Shh, she's talking.
I mean, every night people in this town are lying in sin with Lucifer as he does this shit. And then some of them turn around and go to church the next day. This town is infested with lustful whores. I'm sorry, but I'm just telling it like it is. Do you have any more cider?
I'll get it.
Betty runs into the house so fast.
Enough about me anyway. So, how's your first week, girl?
Good. Yeah, pretty chill.
What do they have you doing?
The wife had me peel the skin off of a rabbit yesterday.
Oh, fun.
Mostly I just watch the baby and the little kid when she falls ill.
Ill? What is she ill from? Is it like Betty's mom?
No, not like that. The wife doesn't cry ever. It's just like a thing that makes her tired all the time, and sometimes she's sick and pale.
Ew.
She's not mean though, just sick.
I wish Mr. Burroughs had that sickness. Kidding.
I had hoped I would be outside more. Like in the field. I wanted to labor in the field and help with the cattle.
You mean like a boy? You want to do boy work?
I don't know. I just want to be helpful. It's a lot of work over there, and he does it all himself. He works really hard. Yesterday, he said he would teach me how to sow a crop if I liked, like maybe next month.
This is wild to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to be helpful.
Here's your cider, Mercy.
Thanks. I should be getting back to work. Anyways.
Me too. I should also be getting back to work too. You want to walk together?
Duh. Bye, Betty.
Bye, Betty.
Maybe an hour later, close to the woods, some light wood noises. Betty plays alone with a poppet.
Hello, Betty. Oh, hey, Poppet. I didn't see you there. What a pretty dress. My mother made it. You must have a nice mother. Lucky, Poppet.
The poppet turns away, sulky.
Hey, is something wrong, Poppet? I have a name, by the way. You do? I'm sorry, I didn't realize. What is your name? Call me Yolanda. Yolanda? I'm bored. This town's boring. Yeah, I know. Hey, would you like to play King and Peasant? Are you kidding? That game is for little kids. I was kidding. Would you like to play Husband Abraham? That's a wicked game, Betty. You're too old to marry a goat. It's just a joke is all. You're right, though. I am old. I want to go in the woods. Yolanda, we can't do that. It's a wicked place.
The noises from the woods grow louder. Hi. Hello.
Who are you?
I'm Mary Warren from Wells, Maine.
Oh, I'm Elizabeth Paris.
Who's your friend?
My friend.
The one behind your back?
She doesn't have a name, and she's not even mine, actually.
How sad to not have a name.
I've never seen you before. I don't understand who you are.
I just moved to Salem from Wells, Maine, as I said.
How old are you?
Oh, I'm pretty sure I'm recently 18.
Are you married?
No.
Sorry, I just thought, because you're kind of old.
I take no offense.
Why did you come here?
I was living with my mother in Wells, Maine, and then she died tragically, so I left.
Yeah. Seems like most people I know these days are dead or have jobs.
Yes, I agree with that. We live in a perilous age, powerless, most of us. It seems I am now in need of a job, a place to work and toil. I wish I had more skills.
I wish I knew how to make a kettle dance or how to send dung flying through the air. Do you know any of these things?
My cousin Abby got really mad this one time, and she threw dung at me, which did make the dung fly through the air pretty fast.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, now we have spoken for long enough that I feel pressed to ask, how was it in there?
How was where?
In there? Were you not just within the woods, right there?
No, what? No, I haven't been anywhere except right here.
I'm sorry, I was confused. I mistook. I thought you were one who played in the woods.
I am not one. My dad is the Reverend. I have only been here. I am playing by myself. Ha ha, playing by myself.
Ooh, very good, good playing. Lord, do you see that?
What?
There's a little red bird in there. Not too far in. You can see her. She's red or maybe yellow.
I don't see a bird.
She's little, like a jewel. Focus your eyeballs and you'll see her better. She's jumping up and down on a branch. Now, do you see?
Oh, I see her. I see her. Oh, she's the prettiest thing. I've never seen that color before.
I'd like to go in and salute her. Say, hello, friend.
You can't go into the woods.
Are you sure? And that's it. Thanks, guys.